1963, the Royal Variety performance took place at the prestigious Prince of Wales Theatre in Coventry Street in the very heart of London, Piccadilly, Leicester Square area. It's one of those places that everybody likes to look at because it's sort of, Art Deco, 1930s, and was opened with the first brick by none other than the brilliant entertainer of the war years and so much more, Gracie Fields. There's a wonderful picture of her placing a brick literally in the wall up a ladder. Would you get a celebrity doing that today? But way back in 1963, on that night of the Royal Variety performance, it actually wasn't the Beatles or indeed the Hollywood legend that was Marlene Dietrich that really made a difference to the charitable donations, but actually the royals themselves. As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you today. And yes, we'll just have a slow move round for you so you can see where we're at. This is where you normally see all of your MPs over here in the United Kingdom being filmed, either sat on a bench with one of the political commentators or writers, presenters, that sort of stuff. And they always bring them in here. It's a funny place actually. If you are into your politics and you want to star spot some of those MPs, this is truly the place for you. We're getting some funny looks, let me tell you. There's a few, yes, yeah, oh yeah, well, yeah. There's a few famous MPs in here already today telling you their version of events that, of course, they want you to know or indeed trust in. You know what it's like. Difficult world, isn't it? It's a far easier world, some people might suggest, in the world of the British monarchy. Or is it? Because, as I say, way back in 1963, the wonderful Royal Variety performance took place at the Prince of Wales Theatre. But as I say, one of the big events of that particular night was not just really the Beatles performing their 4 tracks and that infamous line, those in your cheap seats clap, the famous people, the rich people, just rattle your jewellery, said of course by John Lennon. No, bigger picture of course, because Marlene Dietrich, the true Hollywood icon of the 1930s and 40s, was also on the bill. Apparently though, a little bit miffed by the British entertainer Max Bygraves when he said that he'd idolised Marlene Dietrich so many years ago on the big screen as a child. You can imagine how that went down in the wings of the Prince of Wales Theatre, can't you? Not too good. Now, what's interesting here is one of the stars of the show was none other than brilliant sitcom Steptoe and Son. And I was lucky enough to interview Galton and Simpson, the writers of that show. Now, thanks to them, Steptoe and Son, played by Wilfrid Bramble and Harry H. Corbett, had a little ditty to sing in the show called Off to Buckingham Palace. Big sort of smash for them on the night, and the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret absolutely adored it. They thought it was incredibly funny and of course one of the big star hits, as I say. Now what happened was basically a record label called Pye, which was owned by Lou Grade, the mogul, wanted to put this out as a sort of fun single with donations going from the record sale to the Artist Benevolent Fund, which is the home of the Royal Variety Show. But they needed permission. And basically to get that permission, they needed it from 2 people who were in the audience. Now, this is where it's interesting because you see, because 2 royals, Princess Margaret, or should I say Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret, and of course the Queen Mother were in attendance, it was up to them whether they would be able to release the soundtrack, as this was a live recording directly from the show. Now, thankfully, both the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret, who was a huge fan of the show, said yes. And truly, it was all thanks to them why this record became a chart hit and, more importantly, made a lot of money for the charity. Apparently when they asked the Queen Mother, would that be possible? She said, of course, why are you asking? You know I would say yes to anything like this. Princess Margaret was delighted because she loved Steptoe and Son and said, no problem at all. Anything we can do to help. Now the idea further was that they could maybe in fact invite the royal family down to the set of Steptoe and Son to watch a performance playing out. Something that truly happened behind closed doors. And apparently, sadly for them, no, the royals didn't rock up on the infamous Steptoe and Son horse and cart. But you never know if they'd have asked. Sean in the very heart of London.